guys. Oh wait, so this one? Hi. We're Riot Games, as our shirts indicate. Hi guys, welcome. Thanks for coming. Are you League of Legends fans? We hope so. Awesome. As are we. So we are. sorry. I have like a cold and whatnot. So thanks for coming. We are all representatives of the art team from Riot Games. I'm gonna totally not chomp on this thing while I'm talking. Sorry, that's really gross.
Good guy, Mike.
Sorry, thanks. Appreciate it.
Rude.
So we just kind of want to talk generally about the art of League of Legends, how a champion becomes a final character, from concept to completion, basically. We are here as representatives from each of our departments: concept, 3D, animation, visual effects, and splash. We'd like to kind of take you through our pipeline, kind of generally. Then we would like to take some Q&A afterwards and answer any questions you might have. So what we do at Riot, our art is all about exceeding expectations. So if there's a bar and this is expectations, where do you want to be? You want to be up here.
Yeah. You don't want to be down here. Here's bad. You want to be.
Not here. Here. So indeed, so what does that mean exactly? That means that we start with a great idea, but we have to take that to an exceptional finish. So I have a clicker here somewhere. That does not work. Hey, sweet. Ta-da, so this is us. Welcome.
Yep.
So what we'd like to talk about from each of these disciplines, concept, 3D, animation, visual effects, splash, as I talked about, just walk you through our process at first. So how does a champion go from concept to reality? We start, concept-wise, we start here. First though, I'd like to introduce the rest of my teammates, and first myself, I guess. I'm Mike Marino. I am a senior concept artist at Riot Games. I've worked on all of the 3 major character teams, Champion, Skins, Relaunch now. So some of the champions I've worked on have been Leona. Who likes Leona? Sweet! Excellent. That's my standard.
She's okay.
You and me, outside.
Embrace the heresy.
All right, keep it. Hey. So from there, Skarner, Talon, Xerath, Graves, a lot of Diana, of course. Most recently, Quinn and Valor. Yeah. This bro? Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the table. Katie. So all major character teams. It's an awesome opportunity. I enjoy very much playing support, obviously. Also AP mid with either of my 2 ladies, Leona or Diana. I enjoy long walks on the beach, and I'm generally anyway. With that, I just want to introduce the rest of my team. They'll take it down the line. So starting with Oscar here.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. My name's Oscar Monteon. I'm a, like Mike mentioned, 3D character artist. Primarily work with skins. And as a 3D team, we focus on generating the in-game visuals for our cast of characters. Although I currently focus on model and texture, during my time at Riot, I have had the privilege of concepting characters like Fizz and iterating on various skins. I think some of my favorite ones so far have been some of the legendary ones. Of course, with the collaboration of my coworkers and the other teams, Zombie Brand and the Nocturne and the Legendary Gales. I've been going on this streak of creating all the legendaries. Love them so much because I get to work directly with these guys. So we take play very seriously at work, and when we're battling it out in the fields of justice, I typically like to go mid and bot. Take it away, Mike.
All right. Hi. I'm Mike Lego. I've been with Riot for about 2 years. Oh, also, I'm an animator. Senior animator.
Ooh, senior animator.
Or senior animator.
Senior animator.
So I've been at Riot for a couple years. Most recently, I worked on Quinn and Valor. Before that was Vi, one of my favorites. I like to jungle her, by the way. She's my main now, but sorry, Riven. I worked...
Still a special place in his heart.
Yes, Riven still has a special place in my heart. She was my first champion ever, so I will always love her. Before Riot, I used to teach martial arts. I'm big into martial arts, and I think that's helped me become an animator. If you guys are any fledgling animators, I suggest dancing or martial arts. Get familiar with your body, it'll help you with animation. Before that, I was at EA doing Command and Conquer. But right before Riot, when I was kind of freelancing, I was working on a title called Bastion. And then when I finished up Bastion,
He was the only animator on Bastion. So every single thing. you
Oh,
might have seen-
shucks,
Oh.
Mike. Yeah, so worked on Bastion, but fell in love with League of Legends, and that's when I applied. So that's me. Take it away.
Cool. Hey guys, I'm Brian Thompson. I'm a member of the Riot visual effects team. We're the guys and girls who do the particle effects for new champions, skins, relaunches, as well as items and environments. In the past, I've worked on, I did Syndra, I did Soraka's relaunch, and I did Arcade Sona as well. So most of the time I play casters because they have the flashiest particle effects, and I'm certainly drawn to those types of things. I've on multiple occasions bought, subscribed to, downloaded, and otherwise paid for video games and movies entirely because they had very pretty explosions. Riot's actually my first gig in the industry, so I basically got here by brute forcing my way in with portfolios and then more portfolios again and again and again until they had no choice but to hire me. So follow your dreams, and I mean that.
Actually, he had a really awesome portfolio, right? I just want to.
He
mention
actually came in as an intern.
Yes, I did.
And then we were like, oh my God, you're awesome. Stay.
Yeah. So
So-
you made like a DVD or like a video game case that was kind of like, oh, this is me. Go,
Yes, I did. I took my collector's edition League of Legends DVD case and I removed the cover art and I made my own cover art and put it in there instead. And it was designed like a video game cover. It was like Brian Thompson VFX guy and just really cheesy catch lines. It was rated H for
Esquire.
hire this man. And like my resume was the instruction manual on the inside.
That was
I put
awesome.
my demo reel on the CD and it was fun. It got me noticed at least, and then I kept sending more work. So good stuff.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. I'm a splash artist, and some of the stuff I worked on recently, most recently was Quinn and Valor,
That's
And,
look at me.
Bird Lady, yeah. And before that,
Bird.
I worked on Elise and Syndra and Zyra and the new Ash rework. So yeah, and actually Brian and I are 8-bit friends forever because we both did Arcade Sona. Yeah. Yeah, I actually started playing League of Legends in 2010, and I was working on comics and collectible card games like Magic cards and stuff like that, just freelance. And I started being not very productive because I would spend all day playing League of Legends. And I did a bunch of fan art, and that's how I got hired by Riot. So, yeah. Actually, in-game, I like to play AD carry and also Sona, but I play her like an AD carry because it's awesome. No, I'm serious. Like,
She can
flat
turn-
AD runes, start
What-
off with a Duran's Blade, and build a friggin' Trinity Force.
Also, Katie can
Yeah.
do any champion as a support. One day I was like, I'm gonna go Leon. I'm gonna go whatever the heck I was going, Diana. And she's like, I'm gonna go support Misfortune.
And it was
And I'm like, sweet, let's make it happen.
It was awesome. I will support you by killing all of your enemies.
Fine. Fantastic.
It's all about teamwork.
Anyway, that's us.
Kill secured.
That's us. Welcome. So going back to this, champion, concept, reality, all that jazz. Who knows who this is? It is, but it's not exactly the Vi you know, right?
Actually, Volibear.
It's this really awesome voice.
Cassidy's daughter.
It's Cassidy. So basically, this is concept mostly. This is how we. What's up? Oh, snap! Yeah. So this is how we roll in concept. We start off with an idea. So this is where we started off with Vi. We had this really great idea. We wanted a kick-ass girl with giant fists who punch the shit out of you, or that you could punch the shit out of other people with, basically. So we started here, but this wasn't exactly what we wanted. So as part of like raising the bar, as part of exceeding expectations, as it were, we iterate. We iterate over and over and over. So as you can see, started in one area, we kept sketching. These are thumbnails. Artists use thumbnails. They're not just a thing on your fingers. They are quick drawings that we can iterate fast with. We can execute super, super fast. We can go through all the options we want. So what we do, we iterate over and over and over. So as you can notice here, we have awesome kick-ass girls with awesome giant fists who you're going to use to punch the shit out of people. But we're exploring tons and tons of different options. This is all us concept artists do. We iterate again and again and again. Some of these are character explorations, like these. Like, does she want to be more vicious? Does she want to be a little more goth, a little more punky? What do we want? Some of these are also animation studies. These are what help us concept artists define the character, their movements, hopefully to inform along the lines what the character is going to be, not just to 2D artists, but to 3D artists, to animation, all the way down. So it's kind of the concept artist's responsibility to be accountable for that first design that informs all the way along. So in the end, we come to this. This is what Vi looks like, obviously. This is who you know, but it just reinforces that when we come from a simple idea, that idea can start out very different to what she ends with. So through all that iteration, through all that trial and error, what we end up coming to is this really polished, distilled version of what we want to produce. So this is not only an expression of her character, right? This is not only her awesome stance, the front pose, the portrait to express some personality, but this is also the finished asset that a concept artist would come up with. Highly polished, highly finished, rendered the shit out of it, so that we can then inform our later on our guys down the line. So this is what a concept artist would hand off to the 3D team, and Oscar will explain how we take it from there.
Okay.
Here's this powerful machine.
So when a character is ready for production, we receive a concept like the one you see on screen from the 2D guys. But during the process, we try to keep communication with the 2D guys and the 3D team so that we can more accurately construct all the components of the character in case some of those components open up or telescope, like in Vi's case, her gloves. So my good friend and a coworker, Lee Strauss, built this model in Silo. We primarily use Maya for the most part, but he constructed this model and took it to a high polished stage in ZBrush. And then some characters may need a little bit more polish depending on how techy they are. Some get fleshed
Note
out.
the detail of the teacup.
Oh, yeah, teacup downstairs. Crucial.
I had to fight really hard to get that teacup in the game, by the way.
Yeah.
Spearheading.
All right, so what we use for those interested, we use ZBrush to generate maps that will better inform our textures. And we arrive at the final stage. So it is our intention to hand paint every texture. We often ask ourselves if we want a character to be visually pleasing many years from now. We feel that painting them is a very strong approach to giving them that timeless quality and League of Legends look. Here's a video. This is Vi turned around in ZBrush, beautifully sculpted to the teeth. So being a 3D artist at Riot means we focus on readability, and we will expand and exaggerate some of these shapes and forms to the point that they look a little wonky or non-functional, but in-game they look awesome. So yeah, one thing that I keep in mind that I like to share with my coworkers is function dictates form, and form should be indicative of function as well. So that we have it, once we know what it looks like, in order to breathe some life into it, the animation team.
All right, so once we get it from modeling, there's a step here that isn't represented. There would be a seat here with the rigging department. The rigging department, they're the guys who take the model that they work on, and they actually add the skeleton. They make sure that the skin is deforming the right way on top of the model. And then once we have that, animators can pretty much take it and use it as our action figures that we pose all day. The animation team, we're kind of like the actors of the studio. We kind of have to talk and think about what is Vi's motivation. Who is she and how does she punch? Why is she punching? We had to think about all those things.
Who is she punching?
Yeah.
Who is she punching?
Where does she punch?
What did her mom think about punching?
Exactly.
Did her dad?
Is her dad okay with her
Is her dad
punching
okay?
people?
Yeah. Does her boyfriend know about her obsession with punching?
Yeah, maybe. I have to ask these questions.
We put a lot.
So I would wonder, a lot of these things, a lot of it is just asking questions to people on the team. Hey, do you think this is cool? At first when I saw Vi, I thought she would be like, oh yeah, she's like spunky, like Sakura in Street Fighter, right? No, not like Sakura. We wanted to give her like a badass sort of feel. And as a puncher, a professional puncher.
Like yourself.
Yeah, like myself. I thought maybe, well, obviously she's gonna punch, but there are a lot of ways that you can punch. I mean, if you were to stand up, you might not be able to hear me, but if you were to like stand up and do like traditional martial arts punches with Vi, it wouldn't fly. because she's
Riot.
like from the streets. She's like urban. She's like, raised on the streets of Piltover.
The mean
so-
streets of Piltover.
Yeah, mean streets of
where-
Piltover, So she's got to throw like big haymakers. She's not going to be formally trained in punching, but she still needs to look like she is adept at punching her face. So we take a lot of video reference to kind of capture that. So here's an example. This is an example of a Vi's video reference, but it's from somewhere else, and maybe you might guess where it's actually from, if my clicker will work.
I'm gonna do
clicking your
that.
face?
No, it's this one.
There we go.
There it is. All right. So can you guys guess? Oh, as an animator, like I said, you have to be comfortable with your body. You have to do reference for male champions, and in my case, they just seem to throw me all the female champions. So, do you guys know who that is? Anybody know? Yes, it was
Yeah.
Fiora. Yes.
But what skin?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, so there were a couple takes of that, and they're like, Mike, it's not girly enough. Fine. Sometimes I think he does it just for his own personal collection. All right, well, here's another one. Where do I click it?
The side one.
The side
It
one?
ain't working too
Oh,
fairly
you're so
well.
nice. All right, so we have a lot of Nerf weapons.
This is our job.
Yeah, this is
By
my
the
day-to-day.
way.
This
Yeah.
is what I do at work.
Hey, guess what? You get to draw pictures all day and run around like a jackass.
Yeah, yeah. Not only
Not
run
too
around like a
shabby.
jackass, but I don't know what I'm doing here, but I never thought this video would be public, so. So that was Yorick Mori's
It's
run.
out there now.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a lot of Nerf weaponry in the office because
It's
we
all
have-
business purposes.
Oh, yeah,
That's all.
yeah. We have a lot of anime statues in there. We don't want to break anything, so we keep it all Nerf. And here is Vi in game. So my day-to-day is kind of like taking the model, spinning it around. No, I take the model, and what we do is I'm basically a poser. I pose all day. I take these handles that you see on there, and I manipulate Vi with these handles. I can grab each one. I can move them around. I'm going to grab her hips here, and that's kind of like how I get her hips to move. Yeah,
This
pretty
is
much.
our job again.
This is my job. So I play with action figures. That's what the animation department does. But a lot of the things we have to worry about, we are the actors, but the camera is high up in the air. So when it comes to acting for this camera, it's almost like stage acting. I have to act for the old lady in the back who really can't see my motions. A lot of our motions have to be big and broad so you can read them from gameplay. And that's one of the biggest challenges for most animators coming onto League of Legends. They love to animate down really close. Oh, I want to have like really subtle motions. League of Legends is all about big,
Yeah.
impactful motion.
One of the big things is that even artists, I think, coming in, a lot of artists are trained kind of in the first-person camera view, right? Like Halo or Call of Duty or whatever. But we're working for basically RTS camera view, and Mike has a great experience with that because he worked on Command & Conquer and Bastion and all that. So three-quarter camera view is like super, super important. So things again that Oscar said look kind of wonky in first person, look awesome in this space because of the angle.
Break it.
Yeah, we don't do. Yeah, we break.
Break it.
We break the character. As you can see, I'm flipping through poses, and what I usually do is I try to get like an anticipation pose, and that's kind of like the wind-up for a big punch. When we're just ideating, this is like how animators sketch. We'll just put down one pose like, oh, I'm gonna put my arms back behind me, and then the next pose is, both arms in front. And sometimes we just put it in the game like that, just to see how it feels. That's how animators sketch. And what I'm doing here is kind of flipping through the frames and trying to see if the impact feels right. For a really good impact, you really want to have you want to go from all the way back here to fully extended in 1/30th of a second. Obviously, we can't achieve that with video reference, so we kind of have to use our artistic license to kind of really give that snap and sort of punch. If you're an animator, I don't know what I was doing. If you're an animator, you'll kind of know that 3 frames. Oh, so we have 30 frames in 1 second. If you like delayed gratification and you like to work for 2 days on
Please.
a punch like this,
Be an animator.
yeah, please be an animator. And we're looking for good animators right now. So, yeah, so it takes about 2 days to maybe do like 1 attack. That's about like the way it goes. And then, so from there, we need to collaborate with these guys. With Vi, I had to ask for that teacup for her joke. I don't know if you guys know, but the secret passive with Caitlyn, if she taunts in front of Caitlyn, she'll pull out a teacup. Ooh, on the case. And so I had to go back to modeling and go, hey bros, I know that you guys are done with Vi, but please can you add a teacup? And,
And
they're
then-
like, what
and
the
then-
heck?
And then we'll say we'll have it ready by next week.
You're like, maybe. And then but once we're done with the animations, we need more stuff to make it look awesome in game, and that's where
Particle effects come into the equation. Can I have the technology?
we have the technology.
Excellent. I'm ready.
Side clicker.
This one?
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. So whereas the previous disciplines really do an excellent job kind of nailing down who the character is, what their personality's like, what motivates them, and in animation's case, how they do what they do, that's where the particle team comes in to sort of really put in the what is happening. We work really closely with the designers who are basically the programmers on these guys as well. Visual effects' role is to really visually represent the mechanics of the champion's abilities. So after Mike is done working for 2 days on 30 frames, I took one of them and put them in these screenshots here. So it's kind of difficult to sort of tell the difference between these punches. Vi is all about these gauntlets and punching things all the time, and you can see that reflected in this screenshot here. But because we're a really competitive game, hyper-competitive, a lot of people like to watch it, a lot of people like to play it at a very high level, so it's very important to be able to tell what's going on, and that's where that visual representation comes in. Without particles, a lot of that's missing, so there we go. Now it's a lot clearer what's going on. We had her basic attack, we had her explosive punch, her ult, as well as her Q, and the particles can do a really good job of selling what's going on. The other way to prevent this from happening is to not freeze time while you're playing League of Legends, because that tends to make things very difficult to discern. So, like, for example, in the Q, it's a punch that carries her across the battlefield. She kicks up dust. She's got motion streaks flying behind her. She makes a shockwave as she's flying through the air. And when she hits something, there's the sort of anime-style impact. We did draw a lot of reference and inspiration from a lot of animes and fighting games for her style, because it really suited her well. So things like Gurren Lagann, where like everything is just so over the top and really impactful, and there were lines and streaks and motion blurs, and for the tiniest occasion, we really could play it up and make it something awesome. And that's really important for a character like Vi, as I mentioned, as these guys have already sort of told us that she's this badass, and we really want that to come through. As important as it is to show gameplay, we could, for example, take Vi's explosive punch. Like, we could have represented this visual effect very clearly with a little red outline that said damage, and so you know, oh, I can't stand there because I'm going to get damaged. But as a Vi player, you wouldn't feel much like a badass just throwing out that little infographic at your enemies. So we wanted it to feel really, really cool. The actual process that goes into making our visual effects is kind of a fusion between the 2D art and something a bit more technical, like what animation does, and even a bit of what the programmers do when we're actually scripting the functionality of their abilities. So, for example, we would usually start off painting the textures for an ability, and you can see that up in the top right corner there, that little crescent, that shockwave that she's sending out when she hits you with explosive punch. And then we take that texture and we basically put it in game, and we can manipulate how it behaves in the world using our scripting particle tools. So we can control its velocity, we can control its size, and in this instance you can see we gave it a strong forward velocity and had it scale up from very small to give you that sort of quintessential shockwave impact, where it starts really small and just blasts out and hits things. We sort of repeat this process for each individual component of the entire visual effect. So we have that sort of those light streaks that are streaming out from the target. We've got dust that she's kicking up from the sheer force of throwing that thing at you. There are some motion lines and streaks behind her to, again, illustrate just how forceful this thing is. And yeah, there's sparks and dust and obviously the effect that plays on targets when they're hit by it as well. So all of these kind of have to come together into one final visual effect. And that's basically what you get the final product that you see here. After visual effects are done doing this for each of their abilities, their passive, auto attack, anything that really needs that particle touch to really help play things up. That's when the sound guys would come in. They would be sitting between Katie and I right now if they were here. But we kind of rely on each other a lot. We could have the coolest explosion in the game and it would still not be very satisfying if it didn't have the coolest explosion sound in the game too. So they do a lot to help us out. They're kind of the last guys in the pipeline when it comes to finishing out the in-game product. So once the champion is complete on an in-game standpoint, then we hand it off to the splash artist.
So splash is, oh gosh, oh my god, there's so many buttons.
Side clicker. This one.
Tell me, help, okay. Splash art. So splash art is actually not in the in-game pipeline, and what I mean by that is it's not going into the actual game. You're not going to see splash art when you're playing League of Legends. You're going to see it before in like Champion Select or on the forums and stuff. So I like to explain splash with an analogy. It's like a cover of a book, essentially. So if you consider all of my colleagues here, like they wrote a chapter of this book, the Book of Vi, right? The concept and the model and the animation and the effects and then the sound. Splash art is the cover of that book, and people say you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I think that's really dumb. And I think covers should just endeavor to be worthy of the books that, you know, they contain inside them. So, yeah, Splash represents the champion. We try to, like, our goals with Splash is to try to figure out the most important attributes of a champion, both thematically and, like, with their gameplay. So thematically, Caitlyn, she was such a cool champion because she's a new Piltover law enforcement champion.
You mean Vi, not Caitlyn.
Oh, I was thinking about Caitlyn because
She's
I was
still
going to
cool.
reference
They're in
her.
cahoots.
So they're buddies, right? She's different compared to Caitlyn, and that's what's important about Vi. Caitlyn's very uptight, upholder of the law. She's a sniper. She's a sheriff. No nonsense. And we have Jace as well, who's another Piltover champion.
So
who is
handsome.
Yeah, he's a very handsome, like Disney prince kind of. I'm awesome. I'm like kind of like a Disney prince, but also like Iron Man. So Vi's different because she's really aggressive. Like she's got a heart of gold, I think, underneath all of that. But she also has some deep-seated fundamental anger issues, I think. So we really wanted to show that because that's what sets her apart from other people, other champions, like personalities, especially from Piltover. The other thing we want to do with splash art, because we use these in our champion select screen. So when people jump into a game and they're like, oh man, new champion, cool, I'm gonna do this girl, we want them to know immediately like what to expect, like gameplay wise. So hopefully if we've done our job right, you're not gonna be like, oh man, that's gonna be a sweet mage, gonna cast all these spells. Hopefully you look at it and you're like, okay, cool, bruiser, I got this, I'm gonna punch stuff. And yeah, that's kind of what we need to do is just communicate the gameplay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, as far as what our goals are, but our process is very much like the concept artist. We do a lot of thumbnails, many thumbnails, trying to like ideate on how to best sell or communicate those those attributes that we picked for Vi. And we'll do a lot of different like sketches and thumbnails and color studies until we find we have a rough draft, which is this here, which kind of looks a lot like the finished image, but if you looked at it closely, it's very messy. And the huge part of time that splashes take is actually cleaning up that final draft. It takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And yeah, so that's kind of our
But
process.
does it take hours?
It just like, I
Here it
wish I
takes
could go
hours.
more in depth, but it's really just like sitting there and painting for 80 hours, just like detailing. And you watch a movie at the same time, or a couple. But yeah. After we finish the final painting of Vi, we send it to Splash Art Part B, which is the motion team, and they do awesome stuff. Like, they take this still painting, and they make it do that. Pretty sure all of our motion graphics artists went to Hogwarts because they like I've gone in there and they show me what they do and I have no idea how it's done,
Like,
even though
holy
they've
shit,
explained it to
sorcery.
me. Look, like it's moving. It was a painting before. But anyway, yeah. So the motion also like has to communicate her personality. You know, she's got that awesome like
Bounce to her.
bounce. Yeah, it's so badass and it's very much Vi. So that's splash art.
Yeah, so that kind of like wraps up at least the overview of our pipeline.
Do you want the clicker back?
Oh, sure. Hand it up. Pass it.
Okay.
Take one and pass it down.
Can someone hand me a candy?
You want what? Candy?
Candy.
Aw, you skipped
What,
Oscar.
what flavor?
I don't know.
Okay, there's that.
Oh, you guys have.
So yeah, that kind of wraps up our process. Just generally how we get something from a very simple idea all the way to a finished product that hopefully not only is something fun to play, at least from our side, it's very cool to look at, very cool to experience, very cool to role play even. So we really just wanted to like go over that briefly and then just take a bunch of questions, see if you guys have anything to ask about art especially, we can totally answer design questions, but really terribly.
Not well at all.
Yeah,
We'll
so
just
we can
make
be
up those
yeah,
answers.
Buffarellia.
Buff ribbon.
Totally. So we can totally do that, but you will get the stupidest answers ever. So, anyway, yeah, we just wanted to open up, so feel free to approach the.
Oh, actually, yeah, we have a microphone right here.
Yeah,
Franny
conveniently.
will nicely pre-screen your questions so that. So feel free to ask away. We will give Graves skin cards to good questions. Remember, Mike Marino likes long walks on the beach.
I do.
You
Go
can ask
ahead,
what
rock
beach
on.
he likes.
I
Oh wait,
cannot-
we got a problem with the
We
mic
can't
on the floor.
hear. Hold
Yeah,
on.
we
a
need that
second.
mic on.
Is it on? It is on. Franny, we need help.
Hey Franny, can you please check
I
that
don't think
mic?
it works. What?
It's called Fix It Plan.
Fix it, Franny.
We call her Fix It.
This is Fix It Franny, by the way. She is awesome. She does everything that us feeble-brained artists cannot do.
Yup.
Oh, that's a question.
Take that tape.
Thank you, sir. No problem. Look down, Mike. Here we go. I didn't even get a cup.
Test.
I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Oh yeah, sure.
Sorry, technical difficulties. We can sing while we wait if you guys want.
All right.
What are we singing?
League of Legends time, come on and grab your friends. We're going to Summoners Rift again. With Riot Games, the fun will never end. League of Legends time.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Do you want to just like? Yeah.
Hello? Hello? There we go.
Oh,
yeah.
hey.
Oh,
We are
snap.
in business.
Where's the mic?
Now we're cooking with gas.
Do it. Oh.
Nice.
Oh, there
Awesome.
was a standing mic.
Okay, so I kind of had two questions. One for I Am Silas. What was your inspiration behind the concept for Talon?
For Talon,
Ooh, cool.
they just said, first of all, his working name was Bertrand, and that was awesome, so I'm glad that didn't happen. They were just like, hey, we want a dude who's covered in blades. A cloak of blades that fires blades with more blades. So I was just like, sweet, I guess that's what I'm gonna do. So honestly, like it was a mix between, there's obviously the assassin trope, right? It was just dude in hood. Okay, simple, done. But there isn't so much a trope for a guy with giant blades on his back. So we kind of took inspiration from anything from like, Assassin's Creed, a little bit of Shredder, a little bit of other stuff, and just kind of like went from there, right? Where we're just like, okay, his source of power obviously is something he's gonna slash with, but he needs that awesome motif of just like those 5 different prongs kind of swing, right? Mm-hmm. And that was just like how he evolved. He evolved just as the classic assassin trope, but with a little bit of League of Legends flair to it.
And my other question is, for each of you, what was your favorite champion to work on?
Geez, there's so many. I think the lengthier ones that I think I mentioned earlier, right? Like Zombie Brand was definitely my favorite one, just because it's not enough zombies. But yeah, that's my answer. Zombie Brand.
Obviously, Vi for me. I love punching. She was definitely the most fun because I think from the beginning I knew exactly where I wanted to go with her, sans the Sakura stuff. But once I knew how to execute, and she was just a ton of fun.
I mostly do skins myself, but I did do Syndra, and she was a ton of fun.
My favorite thing that I worked on was actually Arcade Sona. Not an actual champion, but a skin. So yeah. I
It
love
counts.
the 8-bit Scott Pilgrim stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You probably know my favorite.
Pixels everywhere.
Wait, is it Diana, Leona, or
Or
It's
put a bird
Bolibit,
on it?
right?
I don't know. Honestly, it was Diana and Leona are probably my favorite, just because they're both like 2 sides of the same coin. So
And he likes Kale now because it's really Leona with wings.
yeah, you put a bird on it, solve the problem.
So just one quick question.
Yeah.
For all of you, what was the, I guess, tone in the Riot office during the whole Embrace the Heresy?
There was a lot. I mean, it was just fun. Like a lot of people attach themselves to Diana, which is nice. Like anytime we have a character like Vi, like something new that might be coming out pretty soon, we all kind of rally around it. So the mood is always like super excited. You'll see that like perpetuated on the forums, right? We're just super excited internally. We're super excited externally, and it just bubbles up, and we have a passion. I think that shows through in the work too. So that's
really
pretty much
does.
where it's directed.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a programmer, so I'm more interested in the. I know none of you are technical artists, but the actual tools that, like the VFX tool, that actually coincide with the implementation from the art into the engine. How is working with those tools, and do you feel like you're ever limited in your art because of the limitations of the engine and the tools?
That's an excellent
Ryan.
question.
Brian.
So visual effects in particular, we're still working on really getting our tools sort of sorted out, but we do have a lot of cool features that we're able to access, and they're getting added all the time. We have the unique sort of ability. We kind of have our editing software open on one half of the monitor, and we have the game running in the other. And all we have to do to iterate on our changes is just tweak a few values in our particle systems, save them, and then they're immediately reflected in game. So we have a really fast iteration time. As far as getting an actual GUI and stuff for our tools, we're working on that, but we have some really cool stuff planned.
Very cool, thanks.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm an animation student right now.
Sweet.
And I've been starting to get together my portfolio. I'm hearing a lot of different things as to how specific they should be to animation, or if they should also include some modeling. What are you guys looking for?
In terms of animation, we want to know that you have a very strong sense of weight and timing. What I would love to see on an animation demo reel is pretty much what I see day to day at work. So if you can make like a nice looping idle, create an attack that starts and ends in that same looping idle. Also a very nice run animation or a walk animation. Those are make or break. If you show me a really good run or walk with a lot of personality, a lot of weight, then that's what impresses us. So if wherever you're applying, regardless, you need to make sure you tailor your demo reel for that company. You might have to make a whole new demo reel for each company. So League of Legends, you're gonna want animations from top down. Street Fighter or something like that from the side. So make sure you cater it. Again, weight, timing, super important. And then clean loops.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you're another animator that does martial arts. That's
Oh,
great.
yeah, you do
awesome.
too? Awesome. Good luck to you.
Spar right now.
Thanks for your question.
All right, first of all, thank you for Sendra. She's freaking amazing.
No, thank you. Awesome. Cool.
Next part, who decides who gets legendary skins and when? So many, my question is directed to you, Oscar. I've been waiting on a legendary skin for Lux for probably more than a year at least. Hurry up.
As far as legendary goes, we iterate on a couple skins and they get put into a backlog. There are other teams that are involved in the process and deciding what gets released and the cadence for that. So I'm not sure.
Well, it's kind of like we choose to think of it not so much like, hey, what champion needs what? We start off like a session where we say, we're ideating about, let's say, Lux, right? And we write down a bunch of options and we say, sweet, okay, cool. Oh, okay. Haha, sorry. So basically, we just come up with a bunch of different ideas. And what's cool will kind of bubble to the surface. And what ends up happening is that, oh, wow, that one idea, that is so cool, that deserves to be a legendary. That is that character times 10, or that is that character kind of flipped on its head and made a whole new thematic of. So we don't so much say, oh, this thing needs this. We say, this has the opportunity to be awesome. So everything, like when people ask, like, oh, when is this skin coming out, or I'm waiting for this skin, we just say, we ideate on every skin. It's pretty much like a matter of time before something gets something awesome.
Yeah, like it was mentioned earlier that what we end up with most of the time doesn't look like what we started with. I think that applies to legendaries quite a bit.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, is there a reason that the Tarek of the Fifth Age skin seems to question his orientation, as opposed to?
What do you
No,
mean?
real men,
What
real
do you
men.
mean?
Wait, that's the pink one, right?
That's a
Have
pink
you
one, yeah.
seen those leg warmers?
It's, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I think any man secure in his manhood can wear pink. I mean, there's
Same
nothing
here.
wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with pink.
I mean, we might be wearing pink, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I guess that's it.
That is the way we skate around.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
I had a question about, it's kind of in regards to the new Blitzcrank skin. How do you feel when people go on the forums and talk about nerfing the skin you made?
So that's an interesting point, because what we do in skins a lot is we say that sometimes the effects or the changes we make can alter gameplay. Actually, Brian might have a lot to say about that because
Yes,
he works very
indeed.
closely with the gameplay designers.
Right. So in Blitzcrank's case specifically, it's sort of this. At the time when we released it, we felt that it was good, but once it goes out to the public and we get millions of eyes on it, we get some different opinions. And just in this case, it was. Other people felt more strongly that it was maybe not visible enough. So we always pay attention to feedback when we put new content out.
But he's asking you how it made you feel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is true. See, feelsbadman.jpg. But I like to think we should err on making everything OP as far as nerfs goes. But we definitely pay attention to it. It's definitely good to have the feedback. We'd rather be getting the feedback because it means you guys care, and it's something that we can work on. So always good to hear.
Thank you for the question.
Sure.
Hecarim, jungle, favorite.
Viable.
Awesome.
Very viable. The question I had was that, you know, sometimes how the game meta, it changes.
Yeah.
And so is it ever when the game team says they come to you, is it that they come to you and say, okay, we want a top laner who's this way, make us, you know, work with that? Or is it that you just, one of y'all, from concept, you spawn an idea and say, okay, we're gonna do this, and you tell them, we're gonna do this.
It's very much.
It's both of those things.
Yeah, it's both of those things.
Super organic, comes from everywhere.
Katie is like kind of new or just delved into champion development herself, so she can kind of speak to that as well.
So far, like all of the champions I've concepted, who are not released yet, they're just like my own ideas. Like I want this in League of Legends, so I want to make it, and then I take it to the champion team, and I'm like, this, please, and they're like, okay, that looks kind of cool. But if you're actually on the champion team, like legit, there will be designers who are like, hey, I've got this idea for this guy, like concept artist. Do you want to make some art so I can kind of visualize it? So,
yeah, it can come from anywhere. Like any artist can come up with an idea, any creative designer, anyone in the company. We actually like do this thing where what'd you say?
I said pretty much, yeah. Like anyone in the company can, like, if they have an idea, submit it.
It's a very open ideation process. Sometimes a big designer, have idea, artist, have idea, and then we just kind of take it from there. If someone loves it, falls in love with it, we can take it the distance.
Yeah, we never like, okay, you know what, we need the meta, we need a top lane bruiser like this. Actually, in the case of Vi, we advertised her as a top laner, but in testing, we realized she's actually a much better jungler.
Yeah, same thing with Diana. Diana was supposed to be a top laner bruiser as well, but it ended up she was just a better mid.
Yeah, so sometimes, like we said, once it gets into the wild, we realize, and basically all of you guys are doing, you're doing things that we never would have thought of, so that really kind of helps us. I don't know if we're going to go back
Jungle
and change.
Taric, I mean...
Yeah, Jungle Taric is like now a thing, apparently, so that's crazy.
Also with, like y'all came out with Pulsefire Ezreal.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other Pulsefire skins in the ever foreseeable future?
Timo, right?
Yeah, Pulsefire Timo.
Yeah, Pulsefire Timo. No.
There was actually this awesome idea that I saw, which was like number one Pulsefire fan Timo.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. I mean, the thing is, like, we ideate again, like, on everything. So, like, who knows? Like, in the future, I mean, it was a very, I think, solid, cohesive theme. I think a lot of champions could have something groovy like that happen. So it's a possibility.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
And one request. Make an MLP reference Hecarim skin, please.
Make a what?
A My Little Pony reference Hecarim skin. Directly.
We'll see what we can do.
He already has the saying. Just
I know.
We will see what we can do.
We'll see. Yeah.
Stay hopeful.
Thank you for your questions.
Thanks.
Hi there, my name is Carlos, and I'm an aspiring sequential and concept artist.
Awesome.
And I was wondering, when it comes to education background or training, do you guys go to did you guys attend any art academies or anything like that? Because I would like to know if people just do it as a hobby and just get into the field? Because I want to know how to transition into the video game or comic book industry.
Can we pass this on to Katie?
What'd you say? Oh no, I think we should just do it down the line. Just be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Great,
We'll just- okay, we'll give
tell
you our-
like how.
our
We all have like really.
It's Brooks to everybody.
Okay, yeah. I mean, myself, I went to 2 schools like an idiot. Paid a lot of money like an idiot. But it did give me a good background. It gave me a background in. It gave me a background in like some creativity, but also like technical skill. So that was kind of my jumping board. But until I got out into the real world, I didn't know specifically what I wanted to do. So in my case, it kind of came from half education, but also half just like being in the trenches. So education is great, but it doesn't mean, it's not the be-all, end-all. A lot of it is obviously hard work, but a lot of it is self-training, and these guys can certainly expand upon that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of self-training, and as far as my background, I went to fine arts and got a fine arts degree in drawing. That set me up for good fundamentals, but by no means laid down the road or the path to what I'm doing now. A lot of it was just interest in fantasy, right? So I looked up tutorials and watched tons of movies and just made art that I felt was cool. It's more important to land a job somewhere where you're happy doing what you're doing than to cater it to a company because they're super big or whatnot. So look for the little niche, whatever you like, style-wise, and just make tons of it. And that's one way to attract attention, for sure.
Sweet. So I've always been interested in video games and stuff. But when I was in school, I was going to be a nurse. And a lot of my teachers were like, yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Yeah, I was taking like biology
you're so
classes and
sweet.
everything, doing my GEs at a community college. And then the community college we had in California, they had like an art institute sort of wannabe thing, but the most important thing is that I had access to programs and expensive computers that I couldn't afford. And I'd go to these classes, and I'd learn from these teachers who were okay, you know, they're pretty good, but they're not like Art Institute, you know. But you really need that drive. If you're not hungry, you're not going to go anywhere. You really have to push yourself to learn the tutorials, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. And I would highly recommend either like, you know, self-training or community college, because that's really the way to go. If you're passionate, you'll get there, because the difference between the people that make it and the ones that don't, like the people that make it just don't quit. So there you go.
Right, so I mean, when I was taking college classes, we just had a really general sort of digital media program. Like it had a little bit of Photoshop, a little graphic design, some 3D, some animation. But there wasn't anything like how to make explosions in video games 101. So I kind of did my demo reel stuff, which I told you about briefly before, basically off to the side. I knew I liked particles. I didn't even know that there were actually careers specifically for it. So once I found out that there were, and when at Riot Games specifically, I was like, okay, I'm just going to try hard shit out of my demo reel and set it into them. And that's basically the end of that story.
I actually didn't go to school. I'm entirely self-taught.
Smart.
I feel like whenever people ask me this question, like, oh, how do I get into the industry? How do I do video games? My answer is just make video games. Like, I worked on indie games with a couple of friends of mine. Like, if you like making games, like, just do it now. Like, start right now. Like, learn Unity, find a friend who might be a programmer or something, and just be like, hey, let's make the smallest, shittiest looking game that we possibly can so we can actually do something, and then do it. And that's also something I tell people. Like, don't start, like, massive projects that you'll never finish. Like, do something small. Like, find the easiest idea that you could, like, make, and just make it. And then once you've made it, you have something, you've accomplished something. You have something to put on your resume. Like, I made like a super shitty little side-scrolling game with my friends, and I put it on my resume, and that was apparently impressive because we just did it ourselves. And I just kept doing that, and that's how I got in.
Oh. Yeah, it was kind of a thing where it's like, I'm sorry to totally interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Always like make the stuff you want to see. So there's the saying like, oh, write what you know. But I think a lot of us just want to draw what we like or make what we like. So it's like whatever you think is missing, make that. Concept art specifically, like fundamentals are great, right? Like you got to draw, you got to know perspective, you got to know all the fundamentals. School is great for that. That's what did help me in school. I don't want to say like just, education is not great, because it really is. It helped me super solidify what I needed to know. But beyond education, there's creativity. There's like the product. There's stuff that you can't necessarily learn in school. Like everything that we use throughout our day-to-day are stuff that our teachers never taught us probably, or we never had teachers to actually tell us. No. So really it's about making something, showing it off, and there's so many ways to do it now. So like concept art is the easiest. Like, hey, I'm gonna draw a thing, I'm gonna put it up on DeviantArt, or I'm gonna blog about it, and then I'm gonna throw it out there. It's an excellent way to get noticed. We have some comic artists at Riot who do sequential stuff. They also do concept art. As 2D artists, it's pretty much unlimited. And the best part, I think, about 2D art, at least in my opinion, is that it's a stepping stone to absolutely everything. So the more you lock that down, like the next step I want to take, I want to be a modeler. Like I want to do that, and I want to model and do textures.
You can be a model. Yeah.
I'll give you a hard time.
Yeah, he will. And Oscar will just like, doing it wrong. But just keep making what you love, what you want to see in the world, and chances are other people will want to see that as well. And just keep going, get it out there somehow, whether it's self-publishing, making a game with some friends, something small, manageable, like Katie was talking about, and just go from there.
Wow, sounds great. I really enjoyed hearing every single one of your responses.
Great.
It's very insightful, and I appreciate the advice.
Thanks.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Howdy.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too shabby.
Good. So now it's kind of famous that Zillion hates Volibear. And the whole what I'm asking from the concept point, is there somebody that came up to you like, hey, I want to make this character, and you're like, I'm not doing that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm not doing
Honestly, we have had some crazy ideas that didn't get made and some crazier ones that did. Or crazy ideas that turned into something pretty awesome. So I think one of our goals is to make the absolutely ridiculous thing that you would never see in another game and make that something that is us. So Volibear, Zillion thing, like that's a meme from the forums that was in beta days. That's something that I don't think another game company would probably do. Like it's a much more high level goal that's kind of top down. Riot is like anything is go, like anything is possible. Any artist, any designer, anyone can come up with a champion idea, anyone can take that to the end, anyone can take even a community aspect and turn that into something, right? Like, okay, let's make a Leona skin with a bird motif. I wonder who was responsible for that. Yeah. But there's like, then there's just like, there's things that we can take from the community or that we can borrow that we can like, be inspired by, and that can just become absolutely anything, a la that case.
Okay, great. I also liked how it went from most school to no school.
Yeah.
Did you guys think about that before you sat down?
Nope.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
you.
Hey guys,
Hi.
huge fan. It was actually splash art that got me into the game.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
All right.
Good job, Katie.
I like you already.
Way to sell that, Katie.
And on that note, I was wondering, like with recently Annie's splash art changed, Sona's splash art changed, and there's been a lot of others like Soraka in the past. I was wondering, when do you guys decide to actually change the splash art on the champion?
Whenever we have bandwidth to do so. There's we're actually endeavoring to replace all of the old splash art, like all of it. And we have
Replace all the splashes.
We have
Spoiler
like
alert.
100 champions,
Spoiler alert.
and like each of those champions is like 5 skins. So there's a lot of work to do. But as soon as we have time to like do a new one, like we want to get that in there because we want the game to look as good as possible for our players, because I think they deserve that.
Especially ones that look at splash art first and go like, wow, this is getting me into the game.
Especially for
you have an important job, Katie. Don't mess it
There's
up.
no pressure. No pressure,
No
Katie.
pressure at all.
The only League of Legends is only riding on you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Josh. I'm a huge fan.
Just met
Hi,
you.
Josh.
Oh, pleasure. Yeah.
How you doing?
Mr. Lago, specifically, thank you for working on Bastion, because
Oh, wow,
I love
thank
that
you.
game.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I wanted to ask actually if lore ever impedes you guys with making champions or skins or things like that, with the storylines.
Honestly, I think it enables us. We crave as artists as many different influences as possible, especially internally. So myself, I actually like making stories that I kind of like to infuse in my own stuff, but lore and story informs everyone down the line as well.
Yeah.
A good example of that is the Shadow Owls event that we recently did, where we sort of the lore team actually wanted to do this really cool Shadow Isles event for the Harrowing. And basically the skins team, Champion with Elise, we all basically rallied around that sort of creative principle, and we got all kinds of really cool stuff that came out of it.
I also wanted to ask if you guys ever see the, the skins on Leadcraft, custom made by fans. You guys ever see any that really pop out at you and like, wow, that's...
There's some really awesome, inspiring stuff on there. I don't think anything specifically comes to mind.
Girls' Generation Ari.
Oh, jeez. It speaks to some of us. But I mean, the cool thing is, it's like not necessarily specific ideas. Specific ideas are great, but also just like what I think the cool thing is there is that people love the game and the art and whatever so much they're willing to change an entire asset to fulfill their fantasy, and they want to communicate that back to Riot, and hopefully we do justice by giving them creative things in return.
Thank you so much.
Sure
everyone.
thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hello.
Hi. I feel like black males in general are poorly represented in video games. If they are either using a gun or are using a gun and loud. So I wonder if you guys ever consider adding a black male champion to this game.
What? Or a girl? So I think we always want to go back to something we refer to as depth, breadth, and contrast. We always want to have a big, gigantic plethora of characters to draw from. So eventually, I think we will make everything. Absolutely everything. There is too much cool shit in this world not to make it, right? Like, so we have all these equivalents in our world from, Piltover, industrial. We have Ionia, the spiritual kind of Eastern feeling. We have Demacia, which is pretty much like our, white knights, basically, standard fantasy. So the question is not if, it is when will we produce the thing that people want to see. So we consider just everything. Like, nothing impedes us ever from making a champion, anything. It's just usually the fact is like, hey, we have this time frame, we have this much bandwidth, what can we make, what is our order, what is our cadence? It's just a matter of time pretty much before everything, I think, in the world will get represented.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello there.
Howdy.
Hello.
So I was wondering, you might have answered this because I came to the panel a bit late, but so during the creation, I hear a lot of you guys talking about, oh, we found this cool concept art, we made a champion out of it, but I'm wondering, how often is it that you're like, well, we have this idea for a cool, gameplay style, let's make a champion out of that. I assume with Thresh, you were like, let's just make a crowd control machine, and then, you made something out of that. Or if you were like, let's make an assassin that disguises his minions or something.
Yeah, actually, so when it comes to champion creation, you're hearing a lot of art perspective, hey, this is an artist thinking hey, this character looks cool, but a lot of times it's the designers who come up with a kit. Hey, I want a guy who does this, this, and this, or be a CC machine, or just a meat shield. And sometimes they just kind of work with temp characters. Oftentimes you'll see a red-colored Garen in the game when we're testing, and who is that? Oh, it's the new guy with crazy abilities. So it usually doesn't start, I don't know if usually, but sometimes it doesn't start with art. It can start from anywhere. Design, sound guy could be man, if there was a guy who sounded really cool, we can have that guy. So we take inspiration from everywhere.
I think my experience has been that it's 50-50.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think if there's, I'm trying to think of a specific champion that had an awesome gameplay hook that we just wanted. I mean, punching
Gameplay
is
hook?
I mean, I think Vi is a great example, right? It's we want something that punches something. That's a cool, awesome theme. So we did that. We just made and what awesome, I mean, we can make so many mechanics from that. Gameplay hooks often start out just like art does, iteration, iteration, iteration. It can become the smallest little hint of an idea and turn into just this massive, awesome, cohesive theme.
My favorite is Ziggs, whose auto attack is a bomb, his Q is a bomb, his W is a bomb, his E is some bombs, and his R is a bomb. So, love it.
Thank you.
All right,
Sure.
thank you.
Thanks.
I was wondering when you guys decide to improve the visual, particle effects on champions, what dictates if they're old or not, all that kind of stuff.
As far, are you talking about like visual reworks, visual updates specifically, or
Like when you look at a champion, like some champions have like old particles. Like you can clearly tell they're old particles. Like when you look at a new champion, you can say, "Oh, new technology has been put into this champion."
That is fair.
Yeah. Like when you guys dictate whether or not like you need to change that or
sure. Most of the time, you've seen some of our visual updates. For example, Soraka. We did one for Twisted Fate. Annie as well. When we sort of have all of the alignment, all of the disciplines are aligned toward updating their art as well, that's usually the most ideal time for visual effects to go in and do it as well. We definitely have like, the game's been around for years. We have our oldest content rubbing shoulders with our newest content, and like you said, you can see that sometimes. But we basically choose to update it when the time is right and we're able to, and for the most part, that's when they come up for a visual update.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Hi. Hi. First, I'd like to say I'm a huge fan of Iron Stylus. I think you.
Me too.
Ah. We all are.
I love you, Iron Stylus.
I think you hit the nail on the head with Quinn. Great design overall.
Cool. Thank you.
In regards the Battlecast skins, we've got Cho'Gath and Zareth and
Urgot.
Urgot, yeah. And obviously, we all kind of figured out that you guys are probably working on a few more. My question is, when you're designing that particular line of skins, where are your inspirations coming from? The direction you're going with that, and maybe a little bit more information on maybe the direction Kog'Maw's going with his.
So like one of our artists, Larry, who's another concept artist, he was just starting, and his first assignment was one of his first assignments was working on Zareth, and he's like, I'm gonna make a cool kind of this thing he just referred to as Battlecast, which he was inspired by like old World War II tanks, right, and old World War II like bombs, this real thick metal plate stuff. That just kind of spun out of control, and he's actually the guy that kind of owns that. Like every Battlecast skin you see is actually designed by that one dude, Larry.
Wow.
So like much like the girls in armor, hi, I'm your guy. Larry is like the dude with all the Battlecast skins and a bunch of other ones that you will totally love. So he was very much inspired by, like, he and I are old school. We like Robotech. We like Transformers. We like kind of that like extremely thick metal plating, that World War II feeling of it. And some champions just scream out for that treatment. Like Cho'Gath really screamed out for that treatment. Urgot, it was kind of a way to like make Urgot a little more fresh than he was initially, a little maybe a little more palatable even to people.
Yeah. Less
so,
nasty Urgot.
What'd you say?
Less nasty.
Oh, yes. So there's some certain champions that just like absolutely call out for that treatment, which is neat. And inspiration just kind of comes from those sources, like that old gritty Machine Krieger, Metal Slug type stuff, something that we're just like super in love with, and we want to see that represented in some of our creature champions. Yeah. So like, and obviously, I think our creature champions are the best suited for that. So extrapolate how you might with that information.
How could I find Larry and sort of follow him online?
He is the Bravo Ray.
Bravo Ray?
Yes, his name is Larry Ray, the Bravo Ray. And you can just find him on DeviantArt, actually. Like I think he's just the Bravo Ray, and you just type that into Google, and DeviantArt will probably like pop up the initial thing.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to try to see if we can blaze through some of these questions.
Yeah, we got about
here.
5 minutes.
Rapid fire time.
Hey guys, I have a question about, has Concept ever had a problem where they feel like their character's been translated wrong along the line, and have you guys ever dealt with that problem through a game on the Rift?
From the game on, sorry, can you restate it?
Has Concept ever like created a character how they think it should be, and then felt like it got changed along the way through when it went through development?
Oh yeah, it can.
Changes all the time.
Yeah,
happens all the time. You know, sometimes you see this guy coming toward us, hey, how come this changed or why not? Like we cater a lot to the in-game view, right? And for that reason, we alter proportions. We put detail that was down here that you couldn't see and place it up here while trying to still keep the thematic intact. So it does happen. As long as it looks better in the game and
that's what
visually pleasing, that's what matters.
We settle as many disputes on the Rift as possible.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I have 2 quick questions.
Sure.
What's the backstory behind Riot Girl Tristana?
Riot Girl Tristana? That's probably before our time.
Yeah, she's really old skin.
She's old.
My guess is pink hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Backstory.
They're like, we need something to give away.
And then the last one was, I saw your comment on the forums about the Karma rework and how you don't want her to become a stripper. Why?
Why don't I want her to?
Because that's a poor life choice.
What'd you say?
For karma. In Ionia, it's not a big industry
That's
there.
bad karma, yo.
I think she's a classy lady. I think we want to keep her cool but classy. I think we want to further her look a little bit, but I think that her theme should pretty much stay intact. That she's not necessarily matronly as she was, but that she's got a lot. That she has some attitude, and that she shouldn't be necessarily too like stripped open and exposed.
It would be just such a huge departure from her character, like from her original character. Like we do have some characters like Misfortune who are just like bombshell characters.
And they should be.
And they should be, and that's like who they are. But if we have every one of our female characters like, I'm a bombshell, look at this, like it's gonna get a little stale and everything's gonna be the same. So that's why.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Howdy.
I was running since the Lunar Revel just kind of started wrapping up. Why did you choose some of the champions you did choose, and what were some personal favorites?
You mean for giving them skins?
Yeah.
My personal favorite is probably Dragonwind Corki, and I think it was about time he got a skin. It just happened he worked really well with this sort of Dragon Dance type theme, and all of his effects would be perfect for fireworks. So that's Corki, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I cosplay as Pedo Bear. Are you guys going to actually make a Pedo Bear Volley Bear, or Annie with Pedo Bear behind her?
I think that would lack prudence.
Yeah, that's probably a career limiting move for us.
Yes.
No, serious question though. When you guys do your selections for your champions, on which ones you're going to actually do progression on for the skins, do you guys take the themes that you're going for and pick certain champions, or do you prefer to just randomly pick them?
I think we have this ideation process where we gather a couple of the developers in a room, and we ideate on Cassidin one day and 3 days from that. Well, so to answer
We
your question
basically
more directly,
brain vomit onto a whiteboard.
We just sit in a room and are like, what are some cool ideas we could do? And then we just bounce back and forth.
One more.
Go ahead.
Well, when you pick the champions, do you ever look at your older champions and try to pull them in to actually get people to play them more?
Yes, actually, that's
That's what happened with Urgot, right?
Yeah, we look at them. We open up, our casted characters and look at them so that we make sure there's no overlap and avoid similarities.
I think we are running out of time pretty heavily.
Well, thanks for your question.
Thank you.
One more?
I think we can take one more. Is that one more?
And
more.
You guys waiting? Waiting to ask a question? We're gonna be out there, and if you want to come and talk to us, feel free.
We're sort of friendly.
Yeah,
we try.
All right. First, thank you for updating Cho'Gath. Waiting a long time for that. And my question is, why have you not released Dragon Trainer Swain yet?
Oh, it's on our radar.
It's been on the radar for like a year now.
I know.
Yeah.
We had that's the guy who I talked about earlier, Larry. He's the official Swain controlling mechanism. So that's where the spigot is. So if there's a backup there, then I'll go punch him in the, in whatever, and try to get that to happen faster. But I can't guarantee anything because he's like the size of a truck.
Larry's a big dude.
Yeah.
We're all a little intimidated.
Yes.
I think that's cool. I think that's what we got for now. But we will kind of be milling about if you guys just want to say hi or hang out, all that stuff.
Feel free to
Oh,
flag
we
us
have the
down.
cosplay thing?
It's at 4?
It's at
Okay, so
4.
there's a cosplay meetup?
At 4. I don't know where. It's apparently outside the Crystal Ballroom.
Outside
Sweet. Thank you,
there.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope... Oh, and Mr. Oh My Goodness and myself will be at the How to Get Into Games panel tomorrow. And we'll be answering some more questions there, more specifically related to like, hey, how do you get into said game industry?
Yes. What do I need to do?
What do I need to do? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We had a ton of fun.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
everyone.
so much,
Thank you guys.
Sorry for the technical
Thanks
issues.
for playing League of Legends.
Yes.